In today's video, we'll answer the question of when it actually makes sense to do a Roth conversion in retirement and when you should absolutely avoid it. We'll also break down the hidden costs of unnecessary Roth conversions that many retirees overlook. Over the past 11 years in the financial industry, I've noticed a concerning trend of many retirees blindly converting their traditional retirement accounts due to misguided advice and misconceptions about the potential benefits. Common wisdom has been pushing retirees to convert their Roths, but it's very easy to overestimate the advantages while underestimating the immediate tax implications, leading many to convert when they shouldn't. Well, in today's video, we're going to solve this problem by walking you through the exact scenarios where Roth conversions make sense and where they could be detrimental to your retirement plans, helping you to make the best financial decisions for your unique situation. Let's get into it. To set the ground rules, what is a Roth conversion? Really all we're doing is we're taking money out of a pre-tax retirement account like an IRA or a 401k. We're going to take some of it out, pay the taxes on it, and we're going to shift it over into a Roth account. Now, the reason you do that is because once it's in the Roth account, that money is going to grow tax-free. You'll be able to take it out tax-free. You'll be able to also pass it on to your beneficiaries tax-free. So you hear tax-free 3 times, it sounds like a good deal. However, it really hinges on whether or not voluntarily paying those taxes now, paying extra taxes when you don't need to shift it over, whether over the long run that's going to improve your financial situation. So an analogy that I like to look at for how to go about doing this is taking some of my experience from the Army. So before I became a financial planner, I was a U.S. Army engineer. And the role of the Army engineer is to shape the battlefield. So we look at obstacles, we look at potential opportunities that we can use to our advantage and to the detriment of the enemy. So let's say that we are trying to go from here to there, right? Somewhere else. As an Army engineer, we're looking at what are the obstacles. Is there a river that we need to cross? Is there some kind of narrow pathway that we need to get through? Is there a minefield in the way or some other kind of intentional battlefield obstacle that is in our way to stop us from completing our mission? And as an Army engineer, we're going to build a bridge to get across that river. We're going to clear a path through that minefield. We're going to blow a hole in the side of the mountain to make the road bigger, right? That's what you would do. Shape the battlefield to make your path better, smoother, safer. Change it, impose your will again, impose your will on your environment to improve your situation. So with Roth conversions, that's exactly what you're going to do. First, you're going to create a retirement roadmap. And a roadmap is really looking out over the course of your retirement, projecting that out to see what are the potential opportunities? What are the obstacles that might be in your way financially? To see how you can impose your will on that income plan to improve it, to have more income, to be able to pass on more to your family, to be able to pay less taxes. And a Roth conversion is frankly just one of the tools that you can use to improve your financial situation in retirement. So step 1, we create that retirement roadmap. We're going to look at what all that basically means is from the beginning of your retirement until the end of retirement, you're going to map out your cash flows from all your income sources. You got rental property, maybe you got Social Security, you've got different retirement and investment accounts. You're going to map those out in a logical way to see, okay, what kind of obvious opportunities are there? Or maybe what are some potential problem areas? And then we go about kind of addressing those and figuring out how to optimize the plan to improve your overall financial situation. So let's jump into an example. We've got an early retiree couple. Husband is 60, wife is 58. They have $2.5 million saved for retirement. As far as income sources, no rentals or anything like that. They only have Social Security. And we're going to see, first, we're going to look at their retirement roadmap, map out those cash flows, and look for kind of obvious opportunities, obvious threats, and go about seeing how a Roth conversion can make sense and where it, frankly, wouldn't make sense in their situation. And we're going to take some ideas from that, help you apply it to your particular needs. So let's jump into the example. Okay, so here we've got our husband and wife. By the way, if you're curious, my example household, they're from Arizona. So just keep that in mind. So we're looking out if they're retiring here in 2024. First, we're looking at their income sources. So mapping out their cash flows from 2024 all the way to 2060, we're going to see, okay, what's going on here? So first, they're spending this first income source about a little over $12,000 a month is what they're able to sustainably generate from their portfolio and income sources. And you can see that basically from now until about 2031, their only source of income is going to be Social Security. I mean, all of this yellow here, this represents essentially distributions from their taxable account. So they have about $1.5 million in an IRA and $1 million in a taxable trust account. So we're taking distributions from there to satisfy income for the first chunk of retirement. And then you can see that once Social Security kicks in, now we're able to reduce how much portfolio income is drawn. And then, after both of them husband and wife have claimed Social Security, the amount that's coming out of the portfolio really drops off the map. So kind of obvious things that are happening here. So because they have two different types of income, or I should say, because they have two different Social Security benefits, one of the opportunities here is that because of the provisional income rules for Social Security, we know that most of their Social Security benefit, even all of it, is potentially tax-free. And so depending on how we structure their income sources, that can have a huge impact on how much they pay or don't pay on their Social Security benefit. Also, some other issues are kind of things that we need to look at with this retirement income roadmap. They're 60 and 58. So we know that one of their concerns, one of the kind of just things that happens with early retirees is they have to figure out how to affordably pay for health insurance. And so when it comes to managing healthcare through the Affordable Care Act, knowing how much income they're recognizing or not recognizing will have a huge impact on how much they pay for health insurance. Now, we're not going to go into a lot of detail, frankly, at all in this video, but subscribe to the channel. I'm always putting out content about Affordable Care Act, ACA health insurance for early retirees, and even have some other videos that apply to this exact type of situation in more detail. So now let's look at their tax situation. If we look at their taxes right now in this baseline plan, you can see all these different kind of tax sources. And for the beginning of retirement, you can see there's really nothing. So since they have a taxable account, you can see they could, if they wanted to, essentially have zero taxes. Now, as retirement goes on and they're claiming Social Security, and then once they get into the situation where they're forced to take money out of their IRA, even if they don't need the income because of RMDs, you can see that pretty quickly the amount of taxes per year just really skyrockets. I mean, we're talking, over $200,000 a year in just taxes. So now that we've looked at that, let's look at some potential opportunities and different scenarios to see where a Roth conversion could or wouldn't make sense. All right, so right now what we're looking at is we're going to break down and compare different scenarios side by side, really doing A/B testing to see if there's different methods of distributing their portfolio that could result in a lower overall tax bill, trying to find some advantages here. So just wanted to point out a couple of things. Looking at their income plan, the blue and the yellow represent kind of two different scenarios, and I've placed them with the same tax strategy just kind of start as a baseline. You can see that in the beginning of retirement, 10% tax bracket, we jump to the 15 later on, we jump to the 25, and then we jump up to the 28 by the end of retirement. So now we're going to look at this and say, is there a way that we could reduce the overall taxes that this couple is going to, is there a better, more efficient way to do this? So here we're looking at all the different kind of different ways that somebody could sequence their retirement income plan and see if there's kind of an optimal tax strategy. So going through this, based on their income sources, it looks like the 24% tax bracket, doing Roth conversions to the 24% tax bracket is going to be, from a tax standpoint, the most efficient strategy to do here. So you can see that by doing some Roth conversions on the front end, we're looking at dropping their effective tax rate over retirement by almost 13%, saving $2 million in taxes, increasing their income, and increasing their net legacy they're able to pass on. So let's look at the tax brackets over time. You can see here the blue represents the Roth conversion strategy. So like we talked about, the retiree would voluntarily pay more taxes in the first 4 years of retirement, and this would then allow them to essentially have the remainder of their retirement tax-free. Okay, well, before we go and get all excited about doing that, we have to look at whether or not that absolute strategy makes the most sense for the retiree. So this is a situation where people can get into trouble. Is not considering all the other opportunities or considerations for retirement. So remember, this is an early retiree couple. They need to look at health insurance. Well, if they do this Roth conversion strategy, they're going to make themselves ineligible for Affordable Care Act subsidies, and they're going to pay, about an extra plus or minus, $18,000 a year in health insurance premiums. So we have to factor, it still might be the right thing for them to do. They still might decide to do it, but that has to be factored into the math of this decision. Another factor that's relevant for these guys is they love to donate to their church. And because of that, we have to look at doing qualified charitable distributions later on in retirement. Again, not going into detail here, but subscribe to the channel so you can make sure that you don't miss videos about that subject as well. When you do a qualified charitable distribution or a QCD, you're taking money out of an IRA tax-free to go to charity. So, this is like a cheat code. If donating to charity is something you're going to do anyway, it's just part of who you are and what you do, be it your church or the food bank or some other organization that you care about, then this is better than a Roth conversion because you get to just take money out tax-free, right? And it counts against your required minimum distributions. So if we don't consider those things, the 24% Roth conversion strategy seemed like the right thing to do. Let's consider those other variables and see if we can kind of fine-tune and improve upon this initial test that we've done. All right, now comparing these scenarios. In blue, we have the strategy we're testing here, which is doing Roth conversions, and the yellow represents kind of the baseline plan. Now, in the baseline plan, we now have it adjusted so they are not going to do not doing qualified charitable distributions, and in the blue plan that they are going to do that. And now when we compare these two, you can see that how the tax brackets are different. So here we're only converting up to the 12% tax bracket. Now the reason for that is that this then facilitates qualifying for Affordable Care Act ACA health insurance credits. And for this couple, we're looking at 5 years for the husband and 7 years for the wife. So there's a significant amount of cost savings that's going to come into play by taking this into consideration. So you can see that for the first 9-10 years of retirement, this couple is paying more taxes than they would otherwise need to because of the Roth conversions. You can see, though, that those Roth conversions are spread out more over time, where in the 24% example, they were kind of just getting it all in, getting it all paid for up front in the first few years. Now we're kind of spreading that out, but you can see the impact of that. So essentially, by doing the Roth conversions, we're going to pay this in extra taxes so that we don't have to pay this later, right? So let's go into some of the statistics to see kind of how this actually maps out. So by doing this Roth conversion strategy and now kind of optimizing it for this couple's situation, we're looking at saving about 10% per year on average in taxes, which, it's huge. We're talking about $2 million lowering their tax bill, increasing their net income and their expected net legacy by just a huge amount by doing this. It's important to look at the break even here. So break even is showing us, okay, so if we're going to pay extra taxes on the front end, how long, when does this actually start to kind of like financially make sense? So this line is a little faint, but essentially the blue line, you can see we're paying more taxes up until about 2044. And then all of a sudden there's the break even. And you can see that's just really where, the taxes explode later on in retirement. So important to note that even when, mathematically, when you look at the full plan, it makes sense. Oh, wow, you're going to save so much, increased income, et cetera. You have to look at, okay, so what are the assumptions that we're making in order for that all to play out? Let's talk about some of the reasons why somebody might not do a Roth conversion. With this couple doing a Roth conversion, you notice that we didn't make any adjustments to the tax code. So when you first do a projection, I've seen kind of the impulse of a lot of retirees to say, oh, I know that tax rates are going to be higher in the future than they are now, so it doesn't matter how much I Roth convert now. It's going to save me money in the future. You know what? I don't have a time machine. Maybe you're right, but maybe you're not. And so what I think is the best way, the most prudent way to do this is to first do your projections, assuming no changes in the tax code. Now, we have a potential tax law sunset happening in the next couple of years. You could factor that in. A lot of software pieces or professionals you work with will be able to help you figure that out. But your Roth conversion, you should do the analysis first, assuming kind of constant tax law. Then, if the plan works under that scenario, you can then kind of pull the levers and say, okay, well, what if tax rates go up? Oh, what if they go down? And does your plan actually still make sense under those two scenarios, right? And you could test both of them. You could also look at the break even. So when we looked at the break even, you saw that it was pretty far down the line before, there was actually a real tax savings. So where that would make less sense is if you're a single filer. Now I say that because let's just say you're a single man, for example. The life expectancy of a single man is significantly less than the joint life expectancy of a husband and wife. So single man, maybe you could do some Roth conversions, but your life expectancy is going to be, all else being equal, less. And so maybe not doing as much, because as we saw from the break even, much of that tax savings is not recognized until really the back half of your retirement journey. Okay, so let's talk about some other considerations for Roth conversions. What would happen if later on in life, your spouse passes away? How will that impact your tax situation, and how could doing Roth conversions impact that for the benefit? So this is like the hidden widow tax, frankly. Somebody is going along, husband and wife passes away, now you're left alone, and all of a sudden tax brackets compress, and you find yourself, doubling your taxes that you pay, increasing the amount you have to pay for your Medicare Part B premiums, because your spouse passed away. So doing some Roth conversions proactively while you, in a married filing joint tax situation can help reduce the risk of, or I should say, it can increase the financial stability of that surviving spouse. So, where this might be particularly relevant is if, there's a pretty significant age gap between you and your spouse, especially if the husband is older and you'd say, okay, there's a good chance that, the younger spouse is going to be around for a while. So in that case, it might make sense to proactively do some additional Roth conversions while you are in a married filing jointly status, not comparing it with your future married filing jointly tax rates, but comparing it with a future single filer tax rate. And under that situation, you might find that it would be more optimal to do more Roth conversions up front. So I hope this has all been helpful. Starting out from the beginning, what is the premise here? The premise is we do Roth conversions if we have a high likelihood of increasing our financial wellness over the course of our retirement. We only do that after we've mapped out our retirement plan. We've mapped it out, and we can see kind of potential opportunities and downsides. And then, just like a U.S. Army engineer, we impose our will on our environment. We impose our will on our income plan using strategies like a Roth conversion, testing different variations of that plan to see kind of how we can fine-tune it to make it ideal for our situation. Then you also need to test your plan against your assumptions. Are you assuming constant tax rates, or does your plan only work if tax rates go up higher in the future? These are all ways you can calibrate and find the right amount of Roth conversion for your situation. So there you have it, folks. Now that you've seen when Roth conversions truly make sense and when they might be costly mistakes, you can start making more informed decisions about your retirement accounts. However, there is a range of individual factors that may impact your retirement that I haven't been able to cover in this video. If you want to explore the complexities of Roth conversions and how they could impact your unique financial situation, click the link in the description. We'll help you navigate the nuances of retirement account strategies to maximize your financial well-being in retirement. Let's go.